Hey, yo, what's going on? Quarterback school. Let's do it live. Locked in here. Do me a favor. As you're coming into the chat, hit me with your favorite emoji. Let me know that I sound all right. I'm not talking to myself here. It's been a hot minute since I've done the live. We're going to try to get to these lives. These lives might be a little bit better moving forward on Monday. Picked up a little bit of a Tuesday, Thursday hoop game around this time. So got to keep it open. This kind of makes sense. This will be kind of the little content that we share on Mondays here moving forward, hopefully. So there's a lot going on. My way to the Dolphins was at the top of the list for what I wanted to hop on here and talk about. Fired up. Yeah, so there's all sorts of things going on. I don't even know necessarily where to start, and I'm pretty good about not paying attention to it. It's so saturated everywhere that I feel like it's overwhelming me on certain elements. My guys, I appreciate you coming in, checking in. Fun to see some familiar names in the chat. My guy Johnny checking in. We're going to talk all sorts of different ball. So if you have specific questions, we can talk off season. We can talk about, some of these signings, some of these whatever not signings, some quote unquote quarterbacks that aren't getting interest. I think it's all kind of borderline fascinating this time of year, all things considered. I haven't been watching. Have you been watching any XFL? Not really. I watched a little bit of my guy Bruce Gradkowski calling plays a couple weeks ago. I saw a little bit of my guy Louis Perez play yesterday, maybe. But I'll be honest, it's hard for me to watch much of it. I'm not sure. That's probably because of me more than anything else. But yeah, what I have been watching randomly is the World Baseball Classic. I don't know why, but it's pretty good. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to like preseason ball now, not mattering, not being like intense, but it seems like it's a pretty cool vibe. I would love to go to one of those games. I feel like I did maybe go to one of those games when it was in San Diego. Pretty sweet. All right, let's go. What do we got here? Oh man. HFH Studios, the NFL offense you least like watching. I don't know if I can give you a true answer there, buddy. I'm sorry. It probably has less to do with what you think is the scheme, and I probably think are just the people associated with the offense. So that's probably as much as you're going to get from me in that regard. Giselle Vazquez. Jeez, I'm going to butcher that, homie. Sorry. Best quarterbacks for the Texans. I probably think Bryce Young is the best quarterback. It feels like, and maybe this is just my Twitter feed, but ever since the Bears and the Panthers thing, it feels like people are leaning towards CJ Stroud being the guy for the Panthers. I don't know. Maybe that's just the 5 people that I follow. But yeah, I don't know. I love Bryce Young. I love CJ Stroud too. In fact, tomorrow's video is CJ Stroud. I just finished it right now, and it'll be him versus Michigan. It was a tough loss. I actually think the film is pretty good for CJ Stroud, the vast majority of that game. I'm a big CJ Stroud fan, but that doesn't, just because I like CJ Stroud so much doesn't mean that I don't like Bryce Young more. I don't know if that makes sense. It'll be fascinating to see. We'll see. Daniel, what's up, my guy? Oh, God. You're a Zags fan, dude. Did a couple brackets yesterday. Yeah, I do the tournament bracket thing. I'll be honest with you, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to college hoops until this time of year. I think that's most people. I will watch some USD basketball every once in a while, some San Diego basketball, but that's about it. Quentin Miller. Do you think Jimmy G is an upgrade for Vegas or just a parallel move? Is this official now? Is Jimmy G officially a Vegas Raider? If that is the case, I probably think he's an upgrade. Now, why I mean that is because I've always been a fan of Jimmy G. I think if you have been in this channel for a while, really when Jimmy G was playing at a high level and healthy for the 49ers before they kind of decided to go their separate ways and before he started getting hurt, I think that the ability to be on the field, your best ability is your availability. I think that's a big issue with Jimmy G. But if we're talking about quarterback play and them being on the field together, I think the familiarity with how Josh does things matters. I think people who have been in that system, who have been around that system, realize, at least for me anecdotally, that's one of the more boutique, bespoke systems in the league, in my opinion, just because of how different it is from other places, and there being less carryover for a lot of positions, was my experience. And it might have been just me, okay? But I felt like I had a decent understanding of the West Coast and the digit when I went into that, and I thought, oh, this is different. And so Jimmy G's ability to come in and kind of be seamless in that transition, and maybe probably better than maybe Carr was with kind of the familiarity of it and being able to play within that structure, that system, I think will be helpful for the Raiders. I don't know if it's enough to elevate them to a top tier contender right away, especially in that division. Good luck. But yeah, probably yes. Martin, Martin, I'm gonna give you a little. Well, what should I do here? Is there a chance we get an April Fool's video this year? Greetings from Austria. Throw another shrimp on the bobby. Martin, dog, you hit me in the perfect time. Last year, I didn't do an April Fool's video just because I didn't feel like the inspiration, and I didn't want it to feel forced, because I feel like the ones I've done in the past have been just kind of like naturally shown up in me and been like something that I've wanted to get off my chest or talk about. And this year, I'm planning on filming one. That doesn't mean that it will happen, because there's going to be some hoops that I got to jump through. But if you're interested in kind of the updates on that, I would say make sure you sign up. Make sure you're kind of in my email wheelhouse. I don't send a lot of emails. In fact, I don't think I've sent an email this year, calendar year, but I'm probably going to send one on about the upcoming April Fool's video, just to kind of like drum up the interest, see if it is potentially what I think it could be. So yes, I'm excited to do it. Doesn't mean that I will get to it, but I'm glad that you're interested. That's a good sign. Caleb, 23 QB draft rankings coming out. I did one for the Patreon community as kind of my pencil. I don't think anything has changed, so if you're interested, you can go check that out. I will share one with like the whole YouTube community at some point before the draft, for sure, most likely. Oh man, we got a Marauder in the house. Caleb, what's up? Oh man, Thomas, I appreciate you checking in with the old school Bengals film. It was fun for me to go back. Well, I don't know if I should say that. It was an interesting experience to go back and watch the 09, really the like early January 10 playoffs of the 09 Bengals. We lost to the Jets back-to-back weeks, and then one of them was in the wild card game. It was frustrating, man. I'm not going to lie. I forgot how frustrated I was. And it's kind of nice to be removed from playing and living that life. Not for some reasons, not for all the reasons. But you forget I forgot how into it you can get really quickly and how fired up. I think I'm more fired up in that video than I can remember being in any videos. In fact, I forgot I was going to share it with Carson and Jordan. I should. They could probably get a kick out of some elements of it. But yeah, it was fun. So if you're interested in going back and watching some old 09 playoffs Bengals, check out the Quarterback School Patreon community. That was fun. I don't think I probably shared a couple on Twitter, but I don't think I shared a whole bunch of them. Dante VSAR, thoughts on the Panthers Bears trade? Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone through and done and I'm sure that there are people who have the capacity to project or have a program to be able to say oh, they got a better deal or they got a better whatever. I think for me, my initial reactions was I was happy for Justin Fields, man. I could imagine being in that situation, being are they building around me or am I getting moved? And I mean, that's a reality of it. And so it's got to be a great feeling for him. Hopefully the Bears feel like they got enough to be able to do that, to give him an opportunity to thrive now. What does that look like wins-wise this year? I don't know. I'm hopeful that it's a significant increase. What does significant mean? Different things to different people, I guess. The interesting part of that for me was the DJ Moore thing. I've never watched that much Panthers football. Is DJ Moore a legitimate one difference maker on the perimeter? from what I've seen off the top of my head, I don't know if I would think of him like that. That doesn't mean that he's not. That's just not how I necessarily think of him. And so I think it helps him on the perimeter, Justin Fields, to add the weapons. But man, I still wish they could like strike it rich out on the perimeter and give him like a true elite world-class one. And I know they're not on every single team, but it certainly seems like it's an upgrade on the perimeter. It seems like it's really cool for Justin Fields. For the Panthers, I mean, I'm as fascinated as everybody to see what the hell this looks like. I mean, I don't know why my kind of Twitter feed felt like it was, all the CJ Stroud noise. To me, it has been Bryce Young as a number one for as long as I can remember, and I really like the CJ Stroud film. I really do. Like, you'll see tomorrow on the channel, I put out a CJ Stroud video versus Michigan. There's a lot to like. There really is. And I get a little bit of the, and I think I talk about it in the video at the end, a little bit of like the Herbert vibe with CJ Stroud, just because I remember watching the Oregon film, and I didn't think about it at the time just because I was naive about it. But looking back on the Herbert analysis evaluation, part of me thinks, man, what the hell was Oregon doing? Like, why weren't they utilizing this guy's full skill set? Because you go back and watch the film, and there are things that he does in the league that he doesn't do on that film. Like, he's not asked to do. Some of the throws that he's asked to make, some of the, the arm strength, the driving the ball down the field consistently, those types of things just aren't there. And so I wonder that about CJ Stroud. Does he have the capacity to make plays and be the playmaker that we saw versus Georgia and use his feet all the time? Was he being kind of constrained by that system, by what he was being asked to do at Ohio State? I don't know. Those are things you're going to have to ask. Those guys will only know by asking and kind of doing their own research. The film says that, at least to me, that Bryce Young is the better, more natural playmaker. Is that enough to overcome the size issues? Other concerns? For me, I think it probably is. Doesn't mean that I'm right by any means. I appreciate y'all checking in. As you come in, do me a favor, hit that like thing. Only got 6 people hit the like. Come on, y'all. We can do better. Daniel, based on your mild analysis of them, if Drake May and Caleb Williams were in the draft this year, where would they fit in with the quarterback rankings? I haven't watched a lot of Drake May. In fact, I think I might have his whole season that I want to get to once the draft comes around. I really like Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams would probably be the number 1 pick. I don't know enough about Drake May to say that he would be. I would think it would be hard pressed to take him over Bryce Young and CJ Stroud from just what I've seen right now. Now, that's probably because I haven't watched enough of Drake May to have a solid opinion. But Caleb Williams, I have seen enough of. He's the number 1 pick for me. But I mean, he's not a big guy either, right? Like, he might not be as small as Bryce Young, but like, I feel like there's a lot of, some similarities, maybe not a lot, to kind of how they play and their kind of like ad-lib vibe, size, stature type stuff. Maybe not. Simon, give me a topic you would raise to your quarterback coach, to your OC, and to your offensive head coach. What's the difference and who is responsible for that? Bro, I don't know if I know what that means. Sorry. Let me say that again. Give me a topic you would raise to your quarterback coach, your OC, and your offensive head coach. Where's the difference and who is responsible for what? Oh, well, this is a good question. Well, I don't have a good answer for you. I can tell you that when I coached high school football, I was the quarterback coach. I was essentially the offense coordinator, although we had an offense coordinator title one year because he earned it. And then the offensive head coach, I was the offensive head coach. So they're all the same to me. Sorry, I can't give you a good one. I see a lot of XFL talking here. Maybe it's the same cats going back and forth. I just don't have an interest to do it, guys. I'm sorry, man. I don't know how else to say it. I also don't have access to the film. I probably could get access to the film. I just never asked because I wasn't interested. Preston, I'm drinking coffee and water. Pierre Paul, your thoughts, I'm assuming your thoughts on the Lamar Jackson situation. Yeah, man. I think it's a bummer. I don't know. Well, a few different things. I'm gonna try to walk all the way around the Lamar Jackson thing here real quick, and this will be super quick. I'm bummed for Lamar Jackson. Like, I feel like he deserves to get paid. In fact, I think he's already lost a lot of money just by how long this thing has taken. That's just me. I think it's a bad decision to represent yourself. That's just anecdotally my take on it. I feel bad. I also think it's total bullshit that the Ravens will not give him the guaranteed money, because the precedent has been set, in my opinion, with what the Browns did. And I don't care if the rest of the league's rich owners don't like guaranteed money. I've always felt like that's a huge blind spot for players, for the union, for anyone who's ever played and played more than, to become like a vested type guy. I just think it's a deficiency in the league, and it's all because of the power that the 32 teams wield. And so I'm all for cats fighting that, and I want them to do it. And I think he is a perfect guy to do it. I just wish, and I don't know enough about his team around him, but I get nervous as hell, man. I could only imagine having those conversations, having to negotiate contracts with other teams by yourself. It just doesn't make intuitive sense to me. And maybe he's just that much stronger, smarter than I am, which is certainly possibly the case on more than a few levels. It just doesn't make sense to me. And so I have a struggle with that. The non-exclusive tag, to me, I understand why teams would be hesitant to be able to, do the work to negotiate this contract, to be able to give up the 2 1s, and then for the Ravens to just sign him regardless. But at the same time, I don't. Like, if I'm the Panthers, instead of giving up what you gave up to move up for CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, why wouldn't you go get Lamar Jackson? Like, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. And so when I'm in like a situation like that where I feel like I don't have all the information, I certainly don't have all the information. But what am I not putting together when I say, if I'm the Panthers, why wouldn't you're telling me you would rather have Bryce Young or CJ Stroud than Lamar Jackson? I mean, you essentially gave up the same. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I'm sure some nerd out there has some algorithm that tell me exactly what it is, but like, to me, it's the same. I don't know. I must be missing something. All right. Appreciate you guys coming in, hitting the like as you enter. Fun to talk a little ball on a Monday with all sorts of stuff going on. Spencer Smith, appreciate the super chat. Boom, my guy. What do you need here? Could you do Bryce Young, Auburn 2021? Spencer Smith, consider it done. I haven't done it yet, but that sounds good. Is that? Oh, no, that was 2021. That was the game that came down to the wire. Did I not do that game? Somebody go check to see if I did that game already. I feel like I might have done that game already. Maybe I did the Bo Nix part of that game. Either way, I can do it. I don't necessarily love going back a year, just because I like to see the kind of developmental trajectory of someone. And I think if you go back and kind of watch it choppy, it doesn't help me kind of be able to make sense of being able to project forward. But I'll think about it. I think that was the game that came down to the end. That was when like Alabama had no offensive line, right? We'll see. All right, LJ, what up, JT? 2 questions. Oh, 2-parter, double barrel, they call that in academia. LJ, when are you dropping some merch, dog? If I told you what a hassle this has been to get these hats available, we're getting closer. That's all I can tell you. We're getting closer. And if you're the Texans GMs, who would you draft out of Bryce or CJ or Anthony Richardson? I'm probably drafting Bryce Young. I think the more interesting question, or an interesting way to think about it that I haven't thought about it, is if you're the Texans and the Panthers draft Bryce Young, do you take Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud? I probably take CJ Stroud, but I like Anthony Richardson a lot. Like Anthony Richardson is one of those guys for me that I would love to see in a visit situation in the classroom, have a meal with, like, see what type of cat he is, what, all those types of things. Because if he checks all those boxes, I think he's got the potential to be pretty special in the right situation. Now, all those guys have to go to the right situations. I saw some comment somewhere that someone asked me, like, there's no slam dunk in this draft. There's never a slam dunk, y'all. You might think Andrew Luck was a slam dunk, but play it out. Was it a slam dunk? I mean, play it out. There's no such thing as a slam dunk. So you do the best that you can with the information that's available to you. That's kind of how I make sense of it. Boom. Yeah, Brandon. Talking about the Panthers having a new staff and they want their guy. Okay. I mean, I could see that if you're Frank Wright being burnt out on veteran guys and wanting to like shape your guy. I mean, I just don't know how you look at it objectively and say, you got this one entity that is essentially an NFL offense to himself, to saying, hey, we're going to roll the dice with this. To me, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't mean that, I think I have a lot of respect for Frank Wright for a long time. It seems like he's got it locked in on many different levels, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. What else we got? I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to get to every single thing in this chat. I do try to do my best to get to the guys who are members with the little quarterback school different color logos as just kind of a way to keep this thing kind of somewhat on schedule for me. But I appreciate the interaction. Come at me sideways. If I don't get to you at this on the chat, come at me at Twitter. Come at me in a comment on a video. I usually go back and try to do my absolute best to get to those things. Jake Reed. I did a JJ McCarthy video. I think it's on Patreon. I'm sure I'll do more. The way that I normally do it is try to get the guys who are draft eligible kind of in this time frame after the draft, go back and kind of do more guys that are coming back for college ball. Matt, I would probably add Peyton Manning too. I think of John Elway, Peyton Manning as the guys who come to me as the first kind of locked in slam dunks. Mark, hey JT, love your videos. Very cool. Thank you, sir. Do you ever do the drive route as a front side route? Yeah. I mean, do I? When I was calling plays at the high school level, I don't think we ever did it. And it's not because you couldn't do it. It just felt like it made more sense to me to use the whole field. And if you use the drive side as the front side route, well, then you're essentially trying to think how else you would do it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. How about this? I've played it like that before many times, and it just felt unnecessarily limited. Think like 3x1 drive from the bunch, like from the number one on the bunch, and like the one receiver away from the bunch running like a clear. Like, yeah, you could do that, but to me, you're just wasting an eligible lap. And so that's kind of how I think about it. Doesn't mean that you can't. And again, yeah. I just think that there are also better ways nowadays to do drive than old school drive front side. Like I think mesh is a pretty good example of that. The Blitz City podcast, ba-boom, coming in hot. Appreciate the super chat. Da-doom. I appreciate the offer. It's one of those things for me with the podcast requests. I really, be really explicit. I really appreciate every offer I get to go on every podcast. I know how hard it is to create content. I know and respect everybody who tries in the game. For me, though, it's one of those things that it's tough to get to everybody's requests and say, yeah, I'm definitely going to do this because, yeah, it helps to get in front of other people. And most of the things that I would say on the podcast, I would say on a video for my channel. You know, very rarely do I like cross into a podcast where it's like, yeah, you might be being seen by different people and I see the value in spreading the word like that. But also if there's something that I want to say or like a nugget that I'm holding it for the channel. And that's no disrespect to anybody's podcast. I do podcasts for friends, people that I know and try to say yes to, absolutely. But for people that are coming in cold that I don't necessarily have a relationship with, it's just harder for me to carve out the time to intentionally do it. Doesn't mean that I'll never do it, but certainly up until the draft season, it's kind of easy for me to say, no, sorry, I got to focus on the channel. I got to focus on cranking out content for me. And then, once we get into that kind of summer lull, I'm a little bit more flexible with being able to try to get out there and do that. But yeah, for the Panthers people out there, you know, I could see the value in us talking at some point, just because you guys are going to be so locked into the draft and what that looks like. So I appreciate the offer. Dr. J Ladd, any thoughts on Tyson Bagent? No, I have zero thoughts. Sorry, dude. I don't know who that is. But if you want me to look at his film, if you have the All-22, I'm happy to do it if he's actually draft eligible. It sounds like he was at the combine. So, Nate, boom. JT, I really like the play Bryce Young made against UT with the tight end running a stick option, with the slot running a post across the hashes. I'm playing catch up with some. I appreciate it. I don't remember that play, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I try to, the way that it normally works, just so you guys, I try to basically do as much as I can with the top end guys of the draft. And then as I kind of get tired of watching that film, I'll sprinkle in some other guys that I'm just curious about, or multiple people have asked me about, that I can actually get the film for. And so I'll probably do the Fresno State guy again. I'll probably do the Houston guy again. You know, I need to get more UCLA film, to be honest with you. I don't have any. I looked through it today because I wanted to do more DTR. I saw somebody told me that PFF has them graded as not getting drafted, which was weird to me. So I wanted to go back and see if there were any things that I could lock in there. But those are the kind of the ones on my horizon. I'm going to do more Bryce Young this week, probably. You know, everybody wants to keep seeing the Anthony Richardson stuff, so I'll keep it there. Yuri, can't wait for the bootleg QB school crossover. Appreciate all the content. I'm excited for that too. I forget when that is for me. I think it's like somewhere in April. But they had quite the lineup of dudes that I enjoy listening to, so I'm excited to hop on there. And it's always fun to like when I do those things with people, especially for guys that I've thought of as really cool in the space and do a great job. You know, those guys are locked in and create some great content across multiple different platforms. Boom. Scott Griffin, what are your thoughts on Spencer Rattler? I think I have a couple Spencer Rattler videos. Spencer Rattler's coming back, isn't he? I'm surprised everybody is so locked in on the on guys coming back. I get it if that's your world and that's your team. Absolutely, there's some some good college quarterbacks coming back. Again, let's hit it real quick. If you haven't, I got a free quick game course. The link is in the video description. We also have, what else do we have? We've got the Patreon community, which is kind of the go-to foundational support group. You get a bunch of additional quarterback school content over there. And then kind of the premium stuff are the quarterback school courses. Now, some of these prices have changed actually lower, I think, for one of the courses. So if you're interested in any of the courses, hop over there. I personally think they're the best content available through the channel. I have a lot of fun making those. They take a lot of time. And so enjoy checking them out if you got them. CB, attended the combine in Indy. DTR has the hardest miles per hour throw. Stenson surprisingly has some beautiful deep throws. Yeah, I mean, who did I have? I had a couple people reach out to me about Stetson saying that they really, really liked him. And I think, I don't know, it might be, again, we all come at this from our own issues. And so the baggage that I bring to watching Stetson Bennett play is I remember his junior year. And I remember thinking, yo, are they going to replace this cat? Like, they're going to not win a national championship because of this. And then even in the national championship game, the first like couple plays, I remember thinking, holy shit, this is overwhelming. And then he bounced back and then obviously had a great year. But, you know, I don't know if I necessarily see it on Sundays. It doesn't mean that just because I don't see it doesn't mean that he won't be able to do it. But yeah, it's hard for me to make sense of that. The miles per hour thing at the combine is funny. I wonder if I could go back. I'm sure it's available somewhere. I feel like most of those stats are available. I remember doing that test being like, oh, I thought I threw harder. which is I guess a lot of people probably do. But yeah, it's hard to throw a football as hard as you can. It's not like a fastball, or it's not like a two-seamer. All right, what else we got here? Oh, yeah. Nate Taylor coming in, talking about the pin and pull class. Yeah, that was the pin and pull clinic on the channel is kind of a pullout from my offensive framework, kind of like my offensive system. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check out the offensive system. What else did I do? I did a pin and pull. I forget. I did another run video. Oh, duo, maybe a duo clinic. So those are two little like windows into the one of the courses. Brandon, I see you with the Tanner McGee stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I understand what Tanner McGee and kind of in that Stanford profile prototype. I probably need to go back and watch more Tanner McGee. I just remember being like, you know, it's not necessarily what I think of when I think of the guys who have the potential to be like, you know, those splash guys in the league or guys to be able to move the needle for a franchise. Doesn't mean that he won't be able to, but that was kind of what I originally thought watching the film. Michael, what's up, my guy? Boom. What do we got? What is the difference between quick game and fast tempo? I would say a lot. Quick game to me is more the depths of the routes, the depths of the passing game, and fast tempo is more how quickly are we getting lined up and or snapping the ball. And so you can have them both. You can have them together or you can have them totally different. The tempo is how fast in and out your kind of ability to play the play, and then quick game is a type of drop back or passing concept. Joshua, welcome to the chat. I talked about it earlier. Sorry. Daniel, my guy. Appreciate you, sir. Very cool. Best content on YouTube, bar none. I don't know if I agree with you, but I appreciate the kind words. Oh, we got India checking in. Very cool. I appreciate y'all checking in. Let me know where you're from, especially if you're not from the States. It's always fun to see the reach of this thing and kind of who's interested in this kind of content, this kind of conversation about football, American football. So very cool. Joshua, is there a legitimate argument for CJ Stroud should be the #1 quarterback in the class? I think there is. I think that the film warrants it. I think he on his film, his ball control, his accuracy is as good as anybody. I think that there are flashes of plays that project to playmaking ability on Sunday. As good as anybody, maybe not as good, near as good as anybody. I really like guys who can put together, you know, a body of work. It's not like a one-off splash. It doesn't mean that if you only have a one-off splash season, kind of like a Joe Burrow type, doesn't mean that you can't play. I just prefer guys who have a more traditional body of work to show that they can play at a high level over a long period of time. Those are the things that kind of jump off the film for me. You know, I thought he showed some significant toughness too. He takes a couple shots in a number of games that I remember watching CJ Stroud. To me, those things translate. It's hard to get a metric or variable on toughness, but I think he's shown that as well. Nice. We got France checking in. Pierre, appreciate it. Tristan Fields, very cool. Appreciate you, Daniel. I got you, dog. I got you. All good. We got Germany checking in as well. Mark, what's your opinions, thoughts on the run and shoot? I don't have any like earth-shattering thoughts on the run and shoot. I think it had its time and place as a kind of an innovative way to think about the quarterback passing game. I personally never played in it, never coached it, never ran it, but I've done just enough to know that I don't know enough about it. But I will say when I think of it, I think of like quarter roll stuff. I don't love quarter roll stuff. I think of the pass protection as what I would classify as not as sound as maybe some other pass protection systems. I think of the routes as kind of like lots of different options for the receivers to be able to do whatever they want. It's a little recessy. That was kind of how I thought about it. I think it was cool to watch Warren Moon crush souls in it, in the 90s. But I think it would be harder to do nowadays with just the freedom that and the kind of being on the same page on the perimeter that you have to have with a lot of those guys with so much turnover and, just the way that the league is nowadays. Keaton Kumar. Sad I didn't say his name. I probably didn't say your name right either. but I appreciate it. Matthew Murray checking in, want to know about DJ Moore, bro. I talked about it earlier in the stream, so sorry you got to go back and watch it. Alex Hussey, who is your favorite center to play behind and why? Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know if I ever played. I was on the team with Nick Hartwick. He's the first guy that jumps to mind just because I love how he went about it, his preparation, the way that he and Phillip, like, it was like a partnership to be able to block stuff up. And in that Norv offense, they didn't throw a lot of hots because they had this, not random, I would say loose protection. They called it key protection. I should see if I have the diagrams. It basically gave Nick and Phillip a lot of freedom to be able to go wherever they wanted with the point. And I remember being in the quarterback meetings with Billy Bullock was also in the room. And I'd be like, well, who's hot on this? And they're like, well, we just don't throw hot very often because Nick and Phillip can kind of sort it out. And I was like, well, good for you. You guys obviously know what you're doing. It would be hard, to inject someone else into that system and have that kind of thing. So I appreciate centers who have that capacity to help a quarterback out and make their job easier, if that makes sense. Now, you don't always have to have that capacity if you're a center. And in some systems, you see the quarterback make the mic point all the time in a lot of different systems. But the mic point doesn't necessarily mean that's where the center is going or that's where the center is communicating. So it can be, I just like centers who make the quarterback's job easy. If you're rolling grounders back there or you snap all over the place or you've got like a thin backside and can't take a snap, like all those types of things, can be tough on a quarterback. Boom. All right, what else we got? I appreciate everybody checking in. We'll go here for a hot second more. So if you have questions, now is the time. Kyle Keplinger. Sorry, dude. What is easier to teach? Number, route tree, or concept? Having a debate with our head coach. Easier to teach would definitely be the route tree. Easier to run a good offense? For me, it would probably be a concept. Unless you're at youth football, I could see it being route tree being easier. I think that there's value to the route tree as far as the flexibility. I don't think you learn football. I don't think you teach transferable football to your players quite as well without teaching concepts, and specifically the quarterback development, 100% concept oriented. I think you can carry more volume of plays that actually have an opportunity to be successful with concepts. I think in concepts too. I don't know. Maybe it's just my own bias. I would be interested, but I mean, it's definitely easier to teach a route tree, right? Like 1 through 9. That seems easier. Or 0 through 9 seems easier than teaching a bunch of, unorganized concepts. And how you teach concepts can certainly impact that, and does impact that 1,000%. Ooh, Curtis Cardwell coming in with Tanner McKee over Will Levis. I almost think it's been turned into a cool thing to hate on Will Levis. I don't know. Maybe that's just the noise that I hear. I probably would take Will Levis over Tanner McKee. It doesn't mean that either of them are going to be great pros. That's just me, though. Zach, which quarterback in this draft is most likely to succeed? Zach. I wish, such a simple question with such a gray answer. My answer is going to be tethered to whoever goes to the best organization, probably, as much as whoever goes where. If we're talking about specifically guys who are going to be picked in the top 10, I think it matters. I think the Panthers and Frank Wright seem like a really great opportunity. I'd probably, if I was the top end of the draft, would I rather go to the Frank Wright and the Panthers or the Texans? I personally would rather go to the Panthers and that crew. That's no knock on the guys at the Texans, just the stability or the lack of stability at the coaching position for the Texans over the last few years. What I think of the ownership in Indianapolis, I just would prefer to be in Carolina. It doesn't mean that it's a great situation, or isn't yet, but that's just me. Boom. Appreciate everybody coming in with the kind words. It's fun for me to be able to create stuff that resonates with people, that they enjoy the content. So I appreciate y'all. That's for sure. I certainly appreciate everybody who shares it and supports the channel, whether you're a Patreon, whether you're a member, whether you've enrolled in courses, whether you just, dig the content and share it and like it and comment on it. All those things matter to me. So I sincerely appreciate all that support. It matters to me. I appreciate you guys coming in, hitting those like buttons. It's all good for us. Let's do one or two more. Yuri, I think I have a whole video on the NFL Europe experience for me. And do you ever see it coming back? I hope it comes back, man. I really do. I hope it comes back. One Carolina, I'm big on Bryce and the anticipation. Yeah, I'm glad I sold you. I think CJ Stroud has that anticipation too on his film. I really do. But yeah, I'm a big on. I love the way that Bryce Young plays. I just think there is an element of kind of smooth effortlessness that he's able to play in and around, even when it's not. It's one thing to be able to do that in 7-on-7. It's another to be able to do that when you're getting overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage and you got to make plays consistently in the pocket movement, that vibe of it, which is going to be like that on Sundays, that I think is pretty special. Nate Taylor, my only question, you think Aaron Rodgers heads to New York or reunites with Devontae Adams in Vegas? Well, it sounds like Jimmy G is going to Vegas, so it looks like Aaron's going to the Jets. And that's going to be something, put it that way. I don't know, man. That thing is so messy, and I don't know enough of the details or really care enough about the details. I just, as a fan of the position and as someone who knows Aaron just a little bit, I honestly want him to, finish his career with, I think, the kind of dignity and, level of respect across the league that I think his play has warranted for a long time. Now, does he do himself any favors in some of the, other things that maybe are attached to him? I don't know if he helps himself, but I don't know if he cares. Probably doesn't care. Just want him to play good ball in a good situation. I don't know if I'm convinced that the Jets are that situation. I don't know if he's got the capacity to say no. If Green Bay says we're moving on and he says, well, it's New York or nothing, is that a good situation for him? There's no nice way for me to put it, but I've been wrong many times before, so we shall see. All right, y'all, that's a wrap. We're going to move on from this. I appreciate it. Tomorrow, CJ Stroud versus Michigan. If there are other people you want to see, other videos, other games, hit me in the comments, on Twitter, wherever you can find me. I sincerely appreciate the support. I really do. It means a lot to me. I enjoy these lives. I enjoy going back and forth with everybody through the comments, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, later.